Joyska Tkachyk and her family live south of Steinbach, Manitoba, near a small town called Sundown. Last week, their home burned down. They lost everything in it. Joyska, would you tell us, first of all, what happened on that day? How did you find out? Where were you, and what were you doing?
Sure. We were at church. We left home at about 4:30, headed out to church and a few other things, and about 8 o'clock, were 8:30 or so, we were starting to head home, and we noticed that my mother-in-law had called 4 times, so we knew something was up. So we called her, and once she knew we were okay, she said our house had burnt down, and so we immediately left. We dropped the kids off at a friend's house, just wanting them to not see what was going on until we knew what was happening. And we dropped them off at a friend's. We came home, and by the time we got into our yard, everything was gone. It was down to the foundation.
It's pretty, incredible is the only word. Like, when I see the pictures, like, literally just rubble left.
Yes.
What was that first moment like, seeing that?
Well, a couple things. When we first saw it, of course, it was a bit of a shock. But one of the things that has been true throughout my life is as soon as I saw it outwardly and inwardly, I said, the Lord gives, the Lord takes away, blessed be the name of the Lord, and to trust that He had us no matter what. And so, yes, we were devastated, but that was the first thing that I said out loud when I actually saw that everything was gone. And we knew that God would take care of us, and we're just walking that out.
That's a pretty incredible first response. Like, and there's obviously that grief and uncertainty there, but to just say that and speak that, and you really have seen that played out apparently over the last week, people have been telling me. So tell us what's been going on in the midst of this tragedy and losing everything. What's God been doing in the midst of this?
Well, I'll tell you, our friends and neighbors and a couple of community organizations have just been phenomenal. For the 12 hours, we had a fully furnished home provided for from our farm, which allows us to go back and check the cattle, and our mother-in-law, my husband's mom, obviously, who's 90 and was the one who slept there. So we are so close to home, and we have this beautiful home, 3-bedroom home, which allowed my girls to have their own. We have been blessed beyond measure. Heavenly Pines stepped in with their Pay It Forward program and has rallied the community as well. We have literally had donations at our door every day. My girls' closets are overflowing with clothes already. We are, all I can say is we are blessed beyond measure. We are humbled. Our church, Southland Church in Steinbach, has been phenomenal in providing gift certificates or whatever we need to buy groceries or whatever it is. It has been, we are just blown away. We barely skipped a beat, really, in some ways. We've been able to have pancakes on Saturday, which is our family tradition. So we didn't miss one Saturday of that. So it's just been amazing.
In the midst of all that, what's your prayer life been like? What have you been praying?
Well, overall, so much of what we've been doing is just praising God. We are just so, over the top generosity of our community. So we are just so thankful. Talking with our girls all the time too, like how literally a week ago nothing, and now we have. I'm sitting in my living room just sorting 2 boxes of clothes. So we're overly, and so our prayer life has been a thankful one, but also just praying that we would glorify God in the situation, even as the grief hits us, and even as we start thinking about that are irreplaceable, and you can't go buy in a store those sentimental things. As we do those, we're just asking that God would help us glorify Him even in the hard times.
How can everybody listening pray for you?
Well, there's 2 things. Pray for Randy's mom. Her name is Olga. She witnessed the fire. She's 90 years old, and it's been hard on her. We just really are asking for people to pray for her, and for us, that it would draw us together closer as a family, and that we would be able to give out of the abundance of people giving to us. And those are our prayers.
Yeah, how are your kids doing right now?
Uh, Considering they're doing quite well. Like I said, it's almost like Christmas every day here. They come home and there's another box of stuff for them. So they're back in school. We're trying to reestablish routine. We're doing, considering we're doing quite well, and we're again only to the glory of God. This is a week out, and we feel like we're doing quite well. So.
Well, I think you guys are living out Romans 8. Is it 28? All things work together for those,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, when you allow God to move, he certainly moves, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we don't want to be people who are overly grieved by the loss, because we know that it wasn't ours to begin with. And of course, my husband built it, and there's a lot of grief on that end. But we also know that that God will provide for us, and it'll be bigger and better. Well, maybe not bigger, but it'll be better than we've ever experienced.
Bigger in a figurative sense, at least.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's just an amazing testimony and outlook on it. Such a difficult situation for a young family to go through. We'll be praying for you here at CHVN, and we're going to be getting everybody listening to be praying for you folks as well, too. Anything else that you wanted to say while we have you?
Again, it's just that we thank you to everyone who has poured out love on us, who has poured out financial gifts and clothing and everything else. What we have discovered is that God's people respond and have really reached out to us, and we are forever grateful and forever blessed.